Hello, this is Dr. Garrett Castleberry, Program Director for Communication Media and Ethics here at Mid-America Christian University. I'm here with our Communication 3533 Public Relations, Advertising, and Brand Management Week 3 video lecture. Our video lecture series is a Q&A asynchronous dialogue between the course readings, the students, and myself as a facilitator. We have some excellent questions in week 3 of our course, and I look forward to diving right in. But just to recap where we've been thus far, in week 1 we explored the nature of print advertising before shifting mediums in week 2 to assess and read about and write about and analyze radio advertisements. In week 3, this week we are covering television ads and their place in the market before next week we shift to the internet medium. And so we are going to engage in questions and discussion relating to TV advertising mostly, and several directions and tie-ins along the way. All right, so let's begin with some questions from Bernice. And Bernice is first asking about one of the chapters in our integrated marketing communication textbook from Robin Blakeman. I hate to call it a textbook. We try to select readings that feel less like that classical style of textbook, so that we can build companion pieces, right? Voices that not simply echo, but sometimes mirror or sometimes oppose one another, as that adds to our ability to understand the diverse nature of a given discipline, a given area of study or discourse in motion. So Bernice's first question notes, our textbook talks about infomercials, which is a longer version of a commercial. All right, so we're looking at Blakeman, approximately page 176 or so. First question, is this the only difference between the two, referencing a long version of a commercial, or is there a particular instance when one would be used over another? Okay, so infomercials, while campy, they blur lines between the types of TV shows or TV programs that are typically 30 minutes or 60 minutes, right? What you would call a half-hour block or a 60-minute or 1-hour block. And they blur the line between that traditional programming block and advertising itself. They are close to what we might refer to as a demonstrative way of informing the public about an idea. So they function kind of like a how-to speech for those of you that have had public speaking. And we can pick up on that relatively quickly. Infomercials are quite straightforward in their content, development, and delivery. They're selling a product. And the goal of that infomercial is often to explicitly showcase how simple the device is, right? It's meant to make life easier, simpler. Hence why it is typically marketed or advertised on television first and foremost, right? And this fits into a stereotypical approach to who is watching and when, but that average TV viewer at home, and also they tend to air a lot in maybe early afternoons, weekends, or late at night. So once again, people that are perhaps in a sort of arrested situation, meaning they are have a limited amount going on, and they are thus open to looking for options that make life even easier. Okay, but there's no lure. There's no lure in the infomercial of that instant access or instant information. I guess we could say the instant interaction between the host or the narrator of it and the audience. They ask and offer phone numbers and this kind of information, even websites now, where they are ready to engage with you in that integrated marketing type of situation. So there's the presence of liveness, even when something has been recorded or videotaped or filmed in the past. Although some channels, like a QVC, Home Shopping Network, these could function in real time, and perhaps they do or do not. Right? Our textbook states that in an IMC campaign, page 177, it is important that every time the target is exposed to a message, no matter the vehicle, it reinforces the key consumer benefit and projects the strategy, end quote. Question number 2, what is an example of a successful IMC campaign? All right, so a successful IMC campaign would depend on the product, it would depend on the consumer, and it would depend on the strategic effort to connect the two. But something to keep in mind is that goal of the IMC campaign, right, in terms of reinforcing the key consumer benefit and projecting the strategy, is to keep the concept in circulation. All right, that is the goal of advertising. Initial advertising might be to what you would call penetrate the market, to break out, to gain notice through exposure. But for existing products or existing brands, the new goal becomes keeping your existence in circulation, like letting people know, hey, we're still out there, we still exist. Let's see. Okay. Next question. Let's talk about popular culture from Marcel Danisi, right? Introductory perspectives. Danisi notes, quote, one effect of television can be wait, this is no. Next, okay, I see what's going on here. One effect of television can be called the celebrity making or mythologizing effect. Television transforms its personages into mythic characters simply by showcasing them on screen. End quote, page 220. Question 1. Is there any responsibility of the television stations, producers, or any other medium to protect the image of people who promote their product? No. Okay, and so first of all, hopefully in advanced courses, future courses, we get into a touch of this in our media law and ethics, and perhaps there's so much room to continue expanding. But the short answer would be no, in terms of their obligation to protect perhaps someone. And protect, maybe we need to subdefine what exactly that means. But my initial response would be no, unless it serves the product or brand well to protect the individual. And maybe that's even an instance of protect them from what? Protect them from themselves. You hear stories of professional sports teams hiring out, in essence, babysitters to look out for these professional athletes that might be subject to or notorious for getting into trouble, looking for trouble, that sort of thing, right? Kind of having wild personalities, and you mix that with money and sort of a lack of controlled decision making, and you can create a combination for what becomes really just a bad PR nightmare for the organization. And so that's an instance where they might be looking out for their spokespeople, who are often the athletes themselves, right? A professional athlete is a walking spokesperson for the brand, for their team, right? And by extension, all of the things that implies. The league, the organization, the race or gender of the player, the performer, okay, the products they represent, the city they represent, and so on. let's shift to one more question. We'll try to keep things moving at a quicker pace here. I want to jump to the Ads, Fads, and Consumer Culture book from Arthur Asa Berger. In this book, Berger notes, quote, branding claims distinctiveness relative to other brands. That is, if 3 men and 300 men wear the same brand of sunglasses, they cannot claim to be distinctive, except to relate to other brands or in relation to other brands, end quote. From my reading, I thought being branded was an affinity of one product over another. And we're looking at Berger around page 82 here. Follow-up question, can you explain branding in layman's terms? And while, certainly branding is a tier area of emphasis in this course, and even gets mentions and discussion in other classes, but for brevity purposes, I turn to one of our fellow textbooks, okay? And I'm using that term loosely. I'm not talking about an actual textbook, right? Just clarifying for the second time today. But a fellow book we're checking out, Danisi's Popular Culture Introductory Perspectives, just referenced previously. Danisi provides a definition in his in the back glossary of the book. Okay, so Danisi defines branding as the integration of products with media and popular culture events, programs, celebrities, and so forth. All right, so check out page 298 there in the back of the book. And if I were even coming up with my own definition, what I would probably start with is a couple of definitions that are actively circulated by reputable sources. And if I'm looking at a few comparative definitions, I might then be able to what we call paraphrase my own definition in an effort to put it in my own words. So good citational note there for us to follow. Let's do a quick pause. Okay, reset. We're ready for tackle the next series of questions, but it's a great opportunity to pause here, switch roles of film. All right, rhetorically speaking, I don't even think it's rhetorically speaking. I think it's we're just riffing here, and we will be back with part 2 of our week 3 lecture, Com 3533, Public Relations, Advertising, and Brand Management.